The Blue Dragon Film Awards 2025 glowed under a wash of sapphire lights, shimmering like a night sky made of crystal. Cameras flashed in quick, breathless bursts as Korea's brightest stars walked the carpet, each one adorning the event like constellations taking their place above a captivated audience. Reporters lined the barricades. Fans screamed from every corner. And inside the vast auditorium, the air buzzed with elegance and anticipation. But even amid thousands of eyes and a sea of glittering gowns, there was one pair that the entire nation silently waited for, Junho and Yoona. Junho arrived earlier in the evening, stepping out of his car with the quiet confidence that had defined him for years. His classic black tuxedo fit perfectly. His hair swept back just enough to show his sharp jawline, but soft enough to keep him approachable. Flashlights chased him as he greeted fans with a gentle wave, bowing deeply to acknowledge their cheers. He looked collected, charming, every bit the gentleman the industry admired. Yet, those who knew him well might have noticed something just barely hidden beneath the surface, a subtle electricity in his demeanor. Something only present when a particular name hovered in the air. Yoona's arrival a few minutes later caused an eruption the auditorium probably hadn't seen in years. Her white gown floated like it was spun from moonlight itself, delicate and graceful in every movement. The moment she stepped onto the carpet, the noise amplified tenfold as fans screamed her name with disbelief at her beauty. Her smile was serene, her wave elegant, her posture confident but warm. And yet she too carried a quiet nervousness behind her calm exterior, as though she was stepping into a night she already knew would change something forever. Though they arrived separately, the anticipation was unmistakable. Camera crews whispered, "Will they stand together today? Will we get another moment?" For years, the two stars had been surrounded by a soft halo of rumors and fantasies. Not scandalous but romantic, so gentle that even fans who didn't ship them couldn't help but smile when they were seen together. They had shared stages, laughs, light nudges, and glances that lingered half a second too long. It came naturally to them, even when they weren't trying. Inside the hall, the atmosphere grew richer, heavier, like it was filing with something unspoken. As nominees, presenters, and guests took their places, there was a ripple of excitement when it was announced that Yoona would be receiving a Special Achievement Award, an acknowledgement of her long-lasting influence, her consistent grace, and the global impact she had made throughout her career. Moments later, another announcement followed. Junho would be one of the presenters that evening, even before they stepped into each other's orbit. The entire venue sensed it. The story tonight would have their names written across it. When Junho took the stage, he exuded a respectful dignity that made the audience sit straighter. He presented earlier awards with steady composure, speaking thoughtfully, smiling politely. Yet behind the scenes, staff exchanged amused glances, whispering among themselves, "He keeps checking the cue sheet to see when Yoona is coming up. He looks nervous. I haven't seen him like this." Minutes later, when Yoona's name was finally called, the hall erupted again, not just with admiration, but with expectation. She stepped onto the stage with a radiance that made even the chandeliers seem dimmer in comparison. Her steps were graceful, expression humble yet luminous. Then she looked up, and met Junho's eyes. It happened in less than a second. But that was all it took. His expression shifted, softened, warmed. Smile, already beautiful, became brighter as their gazes locked. Fans in the audience whispered breathlessly, froze mid-step behind curtains, and even the director controlling the live feed instinctively zoomed in on the moment. Junho handed her the bouquet. Yoona reached forward to accept it. Their fingers brushed, a natural, innocent contact, but one that sent a shockwave through the entire auditorium. Junho's thumb instinctively paused for a fraction of a second longer than a polite handoff required. Yoona blinked, startled, and her lips curved into a shy, blooming smile. The mic joked lightly, "Wow, am I the only one getting romance drama vibes right now?" The audience laughed, but Junho's reaction was telling. Away for a moment, his ears flushing pink. Yoona's cheeks reddened softly, and she tucked a strand of hair behind her ear. Their chemistry, always rumored but never confirmed, suddenly felt overwhelmingly real. As Yoona began her acceptance speech, Junho stood beside her, holding the microphone for her with perfect attentiveness. But the way he looked at her, that gentle awe, that quiet admiration, was captured by every camera in the hall. Fans watching the live broadcast felt their hearts tighten at the sincerity in his gaze. Yoona spoke about gratitude, about challenges, about the love she had received from the public. But halfway through, her voice trembled just slightly. Not from nervousness, but from the weight of the moment. She glanced up at Junho again, and he nodded very subtly, almost invisibly, offering strength. Just that tiny exchange made the air feel intimate, like the two were the only people standing beneath the lights. When her speech ended, applause filled the hall like a rushing wave. Junho stepped closer to congratulate her. Yoona turned toward him. Their shoulders nearly touched. Applause softened behind them, fading into a slow, dreamlike blur. And it happened, the pause. That dangerous, fragile pause where time seemed to slow. Their eyes held. The lights dimmed around the edges. Even the cheering sounded distant, like it came through layers of glass. It wasn't dramatic. It wasn't forced. It was simply two people standing close enough to hear each other breathe, neither willing to step back. Each caught in a gravitational pull neither could explain. Junho smiled, a soft, vulnerable smile reserved only for moments that mattered. Yoona exhaled, her breath unsteady for just a heartbeat. They didn't know it yet, but the world's most unforgettable Blue Dragon moment was only seconds away. The entire nation would soon replay it frame by frame. Fans would scream, cry, debate, and fall in love with the idea of them all over again. Headlines would explode. Agencies would scramble. Social media would melt into chaos. But in that suspended moment, before the shock, before the frenzy, before the headlines, there was only them. Stars standing under the spotlight. Two hearts beating in sync. Two familiar souls drawn closer by a night neither of them could predict. And then, the moment began to change. Their bodies leaned in, just slightly. Their expressions softened, almost imperceptibly. Something was coming, something no script had planned for. No camera expected. Fan truly dared to imagine. Something that would break the internet. Something that would light up the entire Korean entertainment industry. A kiss neither of them saw coming. Fan's applause softened into a glowing haze as Junho and Yoona remained standing close, almost too close. Their breaths mingling in the narrow space between them. Under the sapphire-tinted lights, their silhouettes overlapped. And something inside the hall shifted as if destiny itself leaned forward. The world watched with held breath. Where that the cameras had begun zooming in, sensing something extraordinary about to unfold. Yoona tilted her head slightly, her soft smile lingering as she whispered a quiet thank you meant only for him. Junho heard it, felt it, and for a moment, he forgot the thousands of eyes watching. Forgotten was the weight of the awards show, the expectations, the rules of professionalism. Standing before him was Yoona, not the global star, not the icon, but the person who had always shone quietly in a part of his heart he rarely acknowledged even to himself. He leaned closer, instinctively. Expression gentle but undeniably sincere. Yoona blinked in surprise. But she didn't pull away. Her breath hitched just barely. And something in her eyes glimmered, curiosity, emotion, maybe even longing. And then, like a scene ripped from the climax of a romance film, Junho lifted a hand slightly, timidly, silently asking permission to exist a little closer to her. Yoona didn't step back. She didn't divert her gaze. She smiled, soft, heart-melting, unguarded. That was when it happened. Junho leaned in, closing the remaining inches between them, and pressed a gentle kiss to her cheek. It was brief, delicate, almost fleeting, but it held an undeniable tenderness that rippled across the hall like a shockwave. Yoona's eyes widened, lips parting in surprise, and her heart visibly fluttered in the split second before she lifted her hand to her cheek, as if confirming it had truly happened. The crowd erupted. Screams filled the air. Gasps burst through the silence. Hands flew to mouths. The mix stumbled over his words, dropping the cue cards in disbelief. The live broadcast chat exploded so fast that the system had to reset twice. Celebrities sitting in the first few rows covered their mouths, laughed in shocked delight, and one actor even stood up and applauded. Unable to contain the excitement, Yoona turned toward Junho, stunned but smiling. The kind of smile that revealed joy, surprise, and something deeper she couldn't hide. Junho's face flushed a soft red, and though he looked embarrassed, he didn't regret it. Not even a little. He bowed his head slightly, as if apologizing and confessing at the same time. The cameras continued capturing every angle, Yoona touching her cheek with trembling fingers. Junho rubbing the back of his neck. Audience going wild. That single gesture, gentle, spontaneous, heartbreakingly romantic, became the defining moment of the night. Backstage, producers scrambled, frantically. Did Junho did Yoona react like that? Are we allowed to air this? Oh, we're absolutely airing this. Meanwhile, inside the auditorium, the energy had transformed into a mixture of chaos and pure exhilaration. As Yoona exited the stage with her award in hand, Junho walked beside her, slightly behind as though giving her space. Unable to hide the softness in his eyes, the two exchanged small, shy glances, each one holding unspoken meanings that no microphone could capture. They disappeared behind the curtains. Staff members nearby later recounted what they saw, Yoona laughing breathlessly, still touching her cheek, and Junho looking flustered yet strangely relieved. A moment that seemed to belong to them alone, even as the world demanded answers. Within minutes, SNS platforms worldwide detonated. Junho Yoona. Blue Dragon kiss. The kiss Yoona expected. Junho kissed Yoona. Yoona reaction. Millions of posts flooded the internet. Fans screamed in all caps, others cried. Others posted fan edits within hours. The clip of the kiss surpassed 2 million views in under 10 minutes. International fans woke up to chaos and immediately demanded context. Every second replay of the moment sparked new theories, interpretations, new heart-fluttering analyses. Some fans insisted Junho had long harbored feelings for Yoona. Others pointed out their previous interactions, the subtle glances, the affectionate smiles, the comfortable way they stood together. Some simply screamed, "This is real. This is finally real." As social media reached meltdown levels, both JYP Entertainment and SM Entertainment were forced to respond before the night was even over. At 1:04 a.m., JYP Entertainment released a statement. The moment was completely spontaneous. Junho acted out of genuine emotion during a celebratory occasion. We ask fans and the public to understand that no prior romantic relationship has been confirmed. Please avoid creating rumors based on assumptions. Moments later, SM Entertainment followed with their own announcement. Yoona was surprised, but she was not uncomfortable with the gesture. The two have shared a long and respectful friendship. At this time, there is no official relationship to confirm. We kindly ask for restraint and speculation. Netizens immediately noticed something interesting. Company denied the chemistry. Neither company criticized a gesture. Neither company claimed it was scripted or staged. It felt like both agencies were choosing their words very carefully, too carefully. Fans began dissecting every phrase, every nuance. What do they mean by it this time? Didn't they deny anything directly? Oh, this is absolutely happening behind the scenes. Junho didn't act like a man surprised by his own actions. He acted like a man who finally did what he wanted to do. A staff member who had seen the moment backstage anonymously told a reporter. They looked comfortable. Embarrassed, but comfortable. Yoona smiled for a long time after walking off stage. Junho kept glancing at her from a distance but didn't approach her again. It felt like something tender was there. Meanwhile, industry insiders weighed in. A director who had worked with both remarked, if they starred in a romance drama now, the ratings would be insane. Another stylist whispered, I've never seen Junho look at someone the way he looked at Yoona tonight. By the next morning, news sites across Korea, Japan, China, and Southeast Asia were plastered with front-page headlines about the kiss. Media outlets replayed the clip in slow motion, pausing every micro-expression. Junho's slight lean, Yoona's widened eyes, their lingering gaze. The softness of the moment was no longer just a kiss. It had become a symbol of possibility, of romance, of fate stepping in unexpectedly. Junho and Yoona themselves, they remained silent, allowing the world to spin its stories around them. But silence, in this case, only added fuel to the fire. Rumors swirled that Junho had asked to speak privately with Yoona backstage, that Yoona had blushed the entire ride home. Junho's managers joked, Hyung, you're trending worldwide, only to receive a shy, helpless smile in response. Later that week, a photographer captured the two arriving separately for schedules, both smiling faintly but not saying a word. Reporters shouted questions, are you dating? Was the kiss intentional? Junho simply bowed. his expression warm but unreadable. Yoona waved with her serene grace, her eyes sparkling like she held a secret too delicate to reveal. Days passed, but the kiss remained the talk of the town. Fan art, fanfiction, even wedding edits circulated online. People argued, debated, swooned, and speculated. Yet, behind the noise, truth persisted. A kiss had happened, not staged, not scripted, forced, but born from a moment of genuine emotion. A moment Junho acted from his heart. A moment Yoona accepted with a stunned but sincere smile. A moment that left the industry breathless. And as the night of the Blue Dragon Awards faded into memory, remained was not just shock or gossip, but a lingering warmth, a gentle question hanging in the air like a promise. Was it just a moment? Or the beginning of something real? Only they knew the answer. And neither seemed ready to let the world in just yet.